I have the tendency to have too many ideas and have a hard time following through on those ideas. It's something that I've gotten better at over the years for sure, but I am naturally a very distracted person. Shortly before we had our first child, who's now 11 years old, I had a realization that I was about to lose even more of the precious time that I had to work on things that mattered to me, to be able to take these ideas that I have and turn them into something meaningful. And so I always had a hard time getting focused on any one thing. And I remember as a kid, I struggled in school as well. I was always daydreaming, thinking about things, better things that I could do with my time than sit in class. I had a hard time, especially in English class and any kind of literature class. I was terrible. I never read books or anything like that. It wasn't until this moment shortly before we were going to have our daughter that I realized like things are going to have to change. My desire was to build a life of meaning and purpose, and I wanted to have an impact. That's something that I really value. I think most people, we want our lives to count. We want to be able to add value to other people. So I came across, I don't even remember what the first leadership book was that I started reading. It may have actually been Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Phenomenal book, recommend it. But it really got me thinking about, how important it is first to clarify why I do what I do and why I want to do the things that I think I want to do. So basically developing a vision for where I wanted to go and why I wanted to do it. And I think that a lot of times that we see, often in my work that I do coaching and mentoring other people, I realize that a lot of the problems that people face, and when they say that they're not great at time management or unfocused or too easily distracted, not very productive, whatever it may be, is if you don't have a clear picture of what it is that you want, where you want to go, who you want to become, the type of things that you want to achieve in life, then it's easy to get caught up in what some have called the drift, or to live life by accident, so to say. And it's not to say that your whole life's like this, but there are certain areas that you feel like, hey, I'm struggling in this area. I'm not making the progress that I would hope I would make. And many times what that has to do with is people lack a clarity about what it is they actually want. Maybe they have a good big picture vision, like way out there of what they want, but maybe what they have a hard time doing is translating that vision into, okay, what is my vision for the next 6 months? And then to be able to break that down into meaningful goals and projects, tasks, habits, disciplines, and things like that. This is just a teaser for what's to come in the coming videos, where I will be sharing what I call my integrated life framework. It's really just to give you an idea of what it's about, taking each major domain in your life. So usually people think of, okay, family, work, my community life, my friendships, my finances, my personal growth. For me, it's church is a big one. But to be able to think through each of those domains, and much like a company would, to create a vision statement for the company as to where they want to go, that really help to clarify decision making. That's really what the big benefit of having a clear vision is. It becomes one of the biggest filters for your decision making. And so I thought, hey, let's try this out for each domain of my life. Now, there are other self-leadership books and ideas. Stephen Covey, big fan of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that talks about creating a personal mission statement. So this is similar to that type of stuff, or having just one vision statement for your life. But I found, at least for me personally, and it may be for you as well, and it's also helped people I've coached, is to develop a clear vision for these major domains of your life. Another way you can think about them is the different roles that you occupy. So maybe it's your position at work, maybe it's your role as a parent or a husband or a wife, maybe it's your role in a community, but things that you've committed to, that you want to see those areas thrive. You want to show up with somebody with integrity, with good character, somebody that's working hard, somebody that's contributing in that area to make a positive impact. I find in order to do that, you need to be, or it really helps to be clear about what does success look like in this domain. And so we're going to be unpacking that more in the coming videos, how you go from having that vision. So something you can imagine, I like to think about it like is in the clouds, a high level view of what you want and where you're going. And then to be able to break that down into what does this mean for today? How does this show up on my calendar? Things like that. I want to challenge you to take a minute and pick one or two life domains, maybe even thinking about your work or thinking about your friendships, the type of friend you want to be, how you want to show up, and just begin to write out a few ideas, begin to capture a few bullet points. It doesn't have to be perfect. I recommend people just, begin writing out some sentences, bullet points, whatever it is, to capture the idea of what success looks like in that area, or what would a healthy relationship look like with this person or with this group of people, or at my workplace. What type of colleague do I want to be? So begin thinking about that, processing that. In the next videos, I'm also going to be showing you how I use AI to help me develop basically a one-pager vision document for each area of my life that is super helpful, that I take into my weekly reviews, that I take into quarterly reviews and things like that, where I'm able to live a much more focused, intentional life, and where I can show up meaningfully and present with people, and I'm less distracted, more focused, less fragmented, because I know where I'm going and what I want. Not saying everything's perfect, not saying that every week lines up exactly like I want, but having that intentionality. God's given us this life is a gift, and it's ultimately not a gift to be used for our purposes. It's a gift to glorify Him and to serve others, to be a blessing to others. And so it's important that to be a good steward of that gift, that I'm intentional about how I spend my days, how I spend my time, where my attention goes, so that I'm, again, living less accidental and more intentional in the major areas of my life. If this sounds exciting to you, definitely subscribe and stay tuned for the next videos, because we're going to get really down into the weeds of what this looks like. And in the end, I hope that you will have a good comprehensive vision and plan that you can reference, that you can execute on week to week, day to day, where you feel like, yes, I'm actually making meaningful progress. I have a purpose, I have a vision, because it really does change your overall joy and fulfillment in life. So stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.